Hey guys, Alex here from the DMs Club on the Titan Bear Gaming YouTube channel. Today I'm talking about my 5 favorite role-playing game things. These are gaming accessories or additional materials that you can use to help improve your game that I think are indispensable. Yes, you can play a role-playing game with just a pen and paper, but we've come a pretty long way since then, and frankly, there's some really amazing stuff that people are making right now to help bring an additional level of richness to your gaming experience that I call these things completely indispensable. I have to play with these. First up is the Combat Tier System by Tinker Tactics. These guys are an RPG accessory for helping you do flight stands and being able to model on your game table people operating at different altitudes. Maybe you have a character that's flying, or you got an underwater combat system or something like that. Matt Mercer popularized this by using it on his Critical Role show. I love them. I've been using them for a good long while, ever since I saw him use them on the Critical Role show. And I think they're really great. They've got this nice laser inscribed grid system on each of the platforms, so you can help keep track of your squares of movement. You can adjust the individual heights for these things. They're fairly easy and they're fairly sturdy. I like these things a lot. You can buy these in the Titan Bear Gaming store. Next up is a company called Wyrmwood Gaming, also popularized by Critical Role. These guys make handcrafted RPG accessories. You've got dice towers, dice trays. You can even get these things that they call hero vaults, deck boxes. Basically any kind of container or dice accessory, they've got it. And this stuff is incredible. This stuff has amazing craftsmanship. The dice towers are created with these great little magnets that you use here. You can get these cool emblems emblazoned on it. The dice tray itself is mine. This one in particular is made with cherry. I went with the cherry wood. And we've got this nice leather interior on it, which works out really well for heavier dice, as well as keeping your dice in one place at the table. I really like these things. They're a little on the pricey end. This set I think ran me $200 when I picked it up a couple of years ago, but honestly it's one of my very favorite things. I'm a little bit superstitious when it comes to dice. I believe very heavily in dice karma, and I also like using a dice tower with the idea that if I'm not the one rolling it, my karma's not going into the dice. Everybody's got to behave to the best of their abilities, but using a dice tower I feel like gets me better rolls. And also, since I'm usually playing the role of the dungeon master, people can't blame me if the roll's bad since it went through a dice tower. Next up is one of my favorite sets of dice, and these are the metal Dwarven dice. You've probably seen in a number of gaming stores. Let's go to the monitor to actually get a closer look on these things. So as you can see, they've got wonderful level of detail. You've got little weapons crafted into them. The numbers are done in a nice semi-Dwarven fashion. You know, they're great. They're heavy. They're easy to read. I like how the background on each of the faces is a little bit recessed so that you have a much easier time reading the dice. A lot of these fancy dice that people use have a tendency to be a little bit harder to read, but these don't suffer from that. The one thing that I will point out for using metal dice in general is that you do need to use a dice tray. You have to, because otherwise you're going to start ruining people's tables. But, you know, the dice tray and the metal dice, they work out really well. It rolls really nicely. I like the extra heft that you get from having these things in hand. I just like them a lot. I also use them primarily as my Dungeon Master dice, and so I feel like the extra weight and the thud that they make on the table inspires a little bit of fear in the players, which is always healthy. That's always a good thing. Next up are these Spellbook cards. Now these are an officially licensed product from Wizards of the Coast. I think they're published by Gale Force 9, and these Spellbook cards are individual playing cards that have all of the details that you would want to refer to for each of the individual spells that exist within the game. There is a deck for each class that exists that has magic abilities, as well as a central arcane deck for the wizards, sorcerers, and warlocks. Let me show you what these actually have on them in case you're not familiar with these. You've got on the back of the card, you've got the spell level and which class this comes from. And then on the front of the card, you've got all this great information like the name of the spell, which school it comes from, the casting time, range, components, verbal, somatic versus material, and then the duration. And these are actually the second printing of these cards. The first printing did not have an explicit character to indicate whether this was a concentration-based spell. Like you can see that big C character over there. I really like that they added these in my previous deck. I had went through every single spell and I wrote with a ballpoint pen the letter C next to them to denote that they were concentration. So I'm really happy that they reprinted these with the C's added on them. And you can also see that they've got the full text description there that covers the vast majority of the of spells in just this space. Some spells have a really long spell description on them, and so they'll still send you to the player handbook for that, but this is still a really useful reminder when you're at the gaming table. This keeps you from going into the book. This is much easier to look at yourself. These cards are great for both players and dungeon masters. From a player perspective, not only does it give you all the information that you'd be interested in to remember at the table, but it also gives it to you in a nice tactile, manipulable format, so that let's say that you are trying to every morning of in-game time where you had to prepare spells for the day or refresh yourself for which spells you wanted to do, you could just set these cards down and think, okay, I'm going to do this one today, and this one today. I highly recommend, if you're going to go with these, to get a binder sheet that's used for trading cards, because these things are perfectly sized. They slip right in there, and so you can just have a sheet form of your little spell reminders. These are also really good from a dungeon master perspective, because if your players have these in front of them, they're not asking you what the spells do. And even more, you can ask them what their spells do. If you don't remember what their range is on something, or what the cast time is for something, they have the information sitting directly in front of them. I actually kind of like it, because it's almost as though these cards are kind of the interpretation of the character themselves remembering the details of the spell. I love them from that point of view. Now, like I mentioned before in the previous video, we do sell this product ourselves, so you can find this for a really good price in the Titan Bear Gaming store. If you're going to be playing a character that has magic casting as a feature, I can't recommend more picking up the corresponding deck for your class. It's going to be life-changing in terms of how you play your character and having an ease of reference at your table. As a dungeon master myself, I have a full set of all of the decks that exist, and I loan these out to my players because it makes my life that much easier. I highly recommend it. My last favorite item is PolyHero Dice. This is a company that I found through Kickstarter a couple of years ago. They started with their warrior set, and they make custom polyhedral dice where the dice are shaped like thematic things that you might find as the class that they're doing it for. So in this case, the warrior has cool things like a shield and a bucket helmet. Let me go ahead and bring this over here. So you've got, like, this one is their D20, which is this cool buckler shield guy that you've got. We've got the D12 is this like bucket helmet shape here that you can spin. Your D10s end up being these cool fist gauntlets here that you can spin to get your D10s or your 100-sided roll. You've got a lance that you can spin. You've got a little dagger that you can spin. And you've got this one, I think this is the D8 that comes in as the little mace on here. I love them. They're cool. They've got such a great little shape for them. My only complaint about it is that they're a little bit light, but they're a cool enough shape and they're a unique enough design that I'm willing to let that slide. They had another Kickstarter that I think just finished up. This is for their Wizard set, their second set that they've done. I'm waiting for mine to come in at the end of the year. I'm very excited about that. That one's got, I think, a staff and a two-sided Spellbook coin, and I think that their D20 has like an orb, like a scrying orb kind of thing. You can also get fireballs, and they've also got daggers in there. It's a bunch of cool stuff. I really like the design element that PolyHero Dice is channeling with these dice sets. I'm going to put a link to their Kickstarter page in the description down below so you can go check them out. They have a couple other ones they're getting started with now. I think they're deciding between Rogue for the next set and Cleric for the next set. So you can check that out, so you can definitely participate. We do sell these on our store as well, so you can find these for a really good price at TitanBearGaming.com. So that's my list of favorite RPG things. I want to know, what are your favorite RPG things? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you like. Help people understand what all is out there. A lot of these things that are super custom don't get distributed terribly widely, and so a lot of the time it's just a matter of people finding out that they exist at all. And let's be real, let's help these people out who are making these things, help give them a level of success so that we can keep getting more of this unique, cool stuff to use at the gaming table. I think that about does it here. Check out my other videos on the DMs Club. I just recently released one that I'm really proud of, which is the beginning to my Dungeon Mastery 101 series, where I want to teach you how to be a dungeon master. So go ahead and check that one out. Otherwise, take a look at the rest of the channel. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you get notified whenever we post new stuff. Until next time, have more fun, would ya? It's good for you.